There's a Brazilian judge who has a very, very strange idea. An idea that activist judges in the United States might welcome. That maybe John Roberts should be okay with. Or Amy Coney Barrett. The activist judge has seized control of the country of Brazil, Alexandra de Moraes. And that's insane. That a judge would seize control of a country. A judge? I mean, that'd be almost like a judge in our country going to the president of the United States and saying, actually, you don't get to fire that inspector general. Oh, wait, a judge did that. Or a judge coming along to the president of the United States and saying, actually, you do have to send those monies to these agencies that are acting against America's best interests. You have to, because I'm a district court judge. Wait, is this judge from Brazil really that far off from what activist judges are doing here? Alexandra de Moraes issued an arrest warrant for Flavia Cordeiro Magalhães, a U.S. citizen of Brazilian origin who's lived in Florida for over 20 years. According to her legal representative, what Moraes is attempting to do here is to lock up a U.S. citizen for political speech expressed on U.S. soil, meaning that the warrant, in effect, raises questions about U.S. sovereignty. Moraes appears to have first ordered Magalhães' X account blocked in Brazil because of a post from 2022, which she made while in the United States of America. According to Magalhães, she was unaware of the block at the time, but she's since been notified by a Brazilian court. But because she continued posting on X, this eventually led to an order to place her in pretrial detention under the pretext that she was allegedly in contempt of court. That is supposed to have occurred when she traveled to Brazil in December 2023, but her Brazilian passport was under restriction, even though she entered and left the country legally using her passport, or U.S. passport. Moraes decided to treat this as use of a false document and issue the pretrial detention order in February of last year. Are they really going to send people into our country to seize this person? That sounds bizarre, doesn't it? And yet, if you look at what's going on, not just with attacks on President Trump, but you notice some of the things going on behind the scenes, particularly with a Trump administration hire, a senior official in the Trump administration, about whom I warned you, this starts to look pretty commonplace in abuse of power. There is a great company we work with who decided to stand up against abuse of power. They decided to stand up against abuse of power from the technocratic medical state. They stand in favor of health freedom, and they've done this for a very, very long time. While the government was shutting down access to ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine and busily pretending hydroxychloroquine was a terrible, terrible, dangerous poison, that ivermectin was horse paste for horse parasites only, this pharmacy continued to send it to people, both of those drugs. They also help people store antibiotics because you can't always get access to them, and sometimes you need them. Hey, if we have an EMP attack or something, God forbid, and the systems are down, good luck getting that stuff when you need it. About 90% of pharmaceuticals are made in China, so good luck getting the pharmaceuticals you need. Now, you know me, I'm no big friend of pharma, and I think you should get off all the pharma you possibly can. I don't think they're our friends, but those drugs are addictive, and you need to have them on hand. So All Family Pharmacy is just that. Two brothers own this place. Their mom works there. They are the actual pharmacy. They will work with the actual prescribing doctor. This is unique because there's a lot of companies now all of a sudden offering the access to ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. But you know what they are? They're just marketing companies. When you give them your name and email address and phone number, they sell that to doctors and pharmacies, who then fulfill those orders, and that's sent to you private labeled, so it looks like it's coming from one of these famous companies, health freedom companies, but it's been marked up 2 or 3 times. Plus, if you have questions about a dosage, who are you going to call? A marketing company? In the case of All Family Pharmacy, you can talk to the actual prescribing physician or just get in touch with the pharmacy. Probably one of the brothers you talk to. So take action to protect yourself now. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Herman for 10% off with promo code Herman10. And don't wait to be prepared. Prepare now. Protect yourself, your friends, and your family today. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Herman now. Use promo code Herman10 to get 10% off. A Trump DOJ headed by Pam Bondi, and I warned you about Pam. I had reason to worry about Pam. This comes from a Headline USA article. Trump DOJ will argue for expanding surveillance power in tower dumps case. Pam Bondi's DOJ is gearing up to carry out a major power grab. Despite promising to protect civil liberties such as free speech, the Trump administration is gearing up to expand the government's domestic surveillance powers. This past Tuesday, that was last week, prosecutors at the Justice Department filed a motion to appeal a federal judge's order that so-called tower dumps are unconstitutional. Tower dumps refer to a technique law enforcement uses to collect cell data from all devices that are connected to a specific cell tower during a specific time period. This method allows enforcement agencies to gather information on hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of cell phones in a given area, often without acquiring a warrant. The issue stems from a recent case in the U.S. District Court of the Southern District of Mississippi, where U.S. Magistrate Judge Andrew Harris declined to issue such warrants for tower dumps on February 21st, 2025. According to a recent report by judicial website CourtWatch, Harris ruled that this technique violates the Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches and seizures. You think? Should the government be able to go out and collect mass bits of information like this or massive amounts of information like this in order to triangulate where you might have been on a given day? Now, if they're looking for a specific person, go get this person's phone. If they're looking for specific people, go get a warrant for specific people's phones. But the pattern of government acquiring data like this and then magically discovering things when they decide to focus them on certain areas and ignore others is right in front of us with selective enforcement. So a judge from Brazil thinks that he can arrest a U.S. citizen. U.S. District Court judges think they can run American foreign policy. And the Trump administration thinks they should be allowed to spy on people all in. Now, that's one of the bad things that's going on in terms of intelligence. One of the good things is that President Trump has decided to revoke the security clearance of Perkins Coie employees over lawfare and DEI practices. Now, in my judgment, Perkins Coie decided to become a political law firm. Full disclosure, when I was a startup CEO, they were my lawyers, my litigators. And I think they actually did, I think they did issuances for us too of stocks. But we had a litigator from there, and I loved her. I thought she was an incredible lawyer. That was a prestigious firm to be with at the time. We were lucky to get represented by them. Full disclosure, I wouldn't have them work on a thing for me today. They made a decision to go all in on Democrat politics, and it makes sense because they've got a big office in Seattle. What they became, in my judgment, was a money laundering op. Hillary Clinton had some dirty political actions she needed carried out. She pretended it was for legal services. They decided to carry out these so-called legal services, which was really nothing more, in my judgment, than being a pass-through entity, which is classic money laundering. So it's a mix of good and bad. These people should not have security clearances. The government should not have the ability to do tower dumps, to look into the background of everybody in a given geographic region who touched a single tower. A Brazilian court judge does not have the power to extradite a U.S. citizen. And yet, there's a trend. When the Constitution is ignored, and conservatism means conserving our constitutional rights that are bounded by what God does for us. When you depart that form of conservatism, conserving God-given constitutional rights, God-protected rights like speech, like life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, like the ability to defend your life or to be secure in your homes, it's only a matter of time before what you're really trying to conserve is your opinion of things. And that's dangerously close to where we get ourselves when we treat government like cult leader.